Hello everyone, and welcome to another great math lesson with Mr. Walker. Today I am filming on location from one of my favorite locations in the whole entire world, and that would be Publix. Take a look. So we're here at Publix, and you might be thinking to yourself, Mr. Walker, why in the world are you at Publix today? Well, it's not just because their cookies are buy one, get one free, even though they are and they're delicious, but it's also because coming up in the module, we're going to be learning some things about adding and subtracting and multiplying and dividing decimals. And I'm not really sure, why we would need this in the real world, right? Why is this important? But then I started to think about it, and I think our answers might lie behind the doors of this grocery store here, Publix. So we're going to go inside and take a look, and hopefully you guys can help me do some shopping. All right, let's go take a look. All right, now, living the high life of a teacher, I very rarely have to keep track of what I'm spending, right? But if I needed to keep a running total of what I'm putting into my cart, I'm going to need to be able to add decimals, right? For example, if I was going to make Mr. Walker's patented Marshall Frosto Choco cereal, there's a few things I'm going to need, and I'm going to have to be able to figure out what it's going to cost me in order to get those things, all right? So let's take a look at the ingredients and see how much it's actually going to cost me to make this cereal, because I want to make sure that I'm not spending too much and making Mrs. Walker unhappy. Okay, so obviously one of the first things I'm going to need is my Frosted Flakes here. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a box of Frosted Flakes, and if you can see, they are $3.87, okay? 3 hundredths. So that's my first ingredient. I'll put this in the cart. So I know so far that's what I've spent is $3.87. The next ingredient I'm going to need is actually up here a bit. So let's take a walk. And I'm going to need some chocolate syrup, because you can't have Marshall Frosto Choco cereal without chocolate syrup. So my chocolate syrup here is $2.22. I'm going to grab one of these. And then let's head over to our last ingredient. And the last ingredient we're going to need for our Marshall Frosto Choco cereal is the Marshall part, and that's going to be our Lucky Charms here. So I'm going to grab a box of that. And again, we're looking at $3.87 for the price, $3.87, or 3 hundredths. Okay. So I didn't say this was the best recipe in the world or the greatest recipe for you, but I have all my ingredients. So the goal is to mix those two cereals together, put a little bit of chocolate syrup in there, and then and a little bit of milk, and it tastes just delicious, okay? So that's the plan for now. So I have my ingredients, so I would have to add up those 3 decimals that I had there to figure out what it's actually going to cost me to make this cereal, right? So I'm not exactly sure how we go about adding decimals, but let's head back to our classroom there, our virtual classroom that I teach from, and see if we can figure out how much it's going to cost me. Alright guys, so we're back from another successful trip to Publix. I got a little more than I needed to, had some impulse buys in there, but that's kind of the way it goes when you go to Publix, right? Good place to shop. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at adding decimals and look at the why behind adding decimals and how we could set it up and what strategies we use to actually do that. So that way we gain a better understanding that we can use when we have to add up decimals in the real world, whether we're trying to make the Marshall Frosto Choco cereal, or when you're planning your own shopping trip to a Target or Amazon or Walmart or something like that. Now you know how you can add up decimals and be successful at that in the real world. So let's take a look at a few examples together. If you have your place value chart, you might want to go ahead and get that out now. And if you have your place value discs or something like that, you can use those as well. I'm going to go ahead and just draw mine in here to represent them that way. And you could do that as well. But if you have those manipulatives out and you want to use them, you can use them too. So my first example here is asking us to add 2/10 and 6/10. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw it in my place value chart, and then we'll go over how we actually add those numbers up. Okay, so I'm going to underline my 2/10 in green, and I'm going to draw them on my place value chart here. So this would be 1/10 and 2/10. Okay, so then I'm going to draw my 6/10. I'll draw those in blue just so we can kind of have some separation there. But I have 6 of those, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Easy enough, right? So now I just would count together these 2/10, right? They're in the same place value, so I'm just going to count them up. And if I counted them up, I would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So all together, I would have 8/10. Okay? Easy enough, right? Because they're in the same place value, I just count them up, and we're good to go. No big stressors or anything there. What do you guys notice? Do you notice any similarities so far between adding decimals and adding whole numbers? All right, well, pretty much it's exactly the same, right? We just have to count up the numbers. We just have to make sure that we're in the same place value in order to do that. And then we have our numbers lined up correctly, okay? So let's take a look at another example. All right, so for this example, I have 2 ones, 3 thousandths, plus 6 ones and 1 thousandth. So we're stepping up our numbers a little bit here. But why don't you guys go ahead and represent these two numbers in your place value chart, and then we'll come back, we'll compare them together, and we'll talk about it a little bit. All right, so if I was going to represent my 2 ones and 3 thousandths, well, I would draw 2 ones right here. There's 1, and there's 2, and then 3 thousandths. So I don't have any tenths, I don't have any hundredths, but I have 3 thousandths. 1, 2, 3. Okay? And I'm going to leave those blank because I don't want to get confused and put like a 0 in here, but think maybe it's a place value disk or whatever. I'm just going to leave them blank, okay? Because I don't have any of them, so I'm just going to draw in what I do have. So now I have 6 ones and 1 thousandth. So I'm going to draw 6 ones, 1 and 1 thousandth. Perfect. And now I can just add these up. I have them in the correct place values on my chart, so I can go ahead and add them up. So I would have, and actually just to take things a step further, I'm going to write this as a vertical addition problem down here. So I would have 2 ones and my decimal point, then a 0 and a 0, because I have no tenths, no hundredths, but I do have 3 thousandths. Okay, plus 6 ones, so I want to make sure I line up my 2 and my 6. Make sure that decimal point is lined up as well. 0 tenths, 0 hundredths, and 1 thousandth. So now that I've written those vertically, right, I can go ahead and add. 3 plus 1 will give me 4. 0 plus 0 is 0. 0 plus 0 is 0. 2 plus 6 is 8. And I'm going to bring that decimal point down right to the same spot. Now, what similarities, or maybe what differences, do you notice about adding these decimals as opposed to adding regular whole numbers? Right, pretty much everything is the same, right? I lined up my ones, my hundredths, my tenths, my thousandths. Everything was all lined up the way it should be, even my decimal points. And then I even started in the same place. I started on the right, worked my way to the left, adding those numbers together, okay? And I got my answer that way. So the place value can help me, using the place value chart can help me to see the actual values of the number and make sure I'm lining them up correctly. And then I could use the vertical standard kind of algorithm to add up my numbers that way. As long as I have them all lined up in the same place, shouldn't be a problem. Let's take a look at one more example. All right, so in this example, I have 1 and 8 tenths plus 13 tenths. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to represent them up here using my place value disks again. So I have one whole, and I have 8 tenths. So I'm going to write my 8 tenths. 1, 2, 4, 8 tenths there, okay? Next number is 13 tenths. So again, I'm going to go ahead and represent that up here. So I have 1, 2, okay, so I have my 13 tenths there. So if I were to count these up, I would have, let's see, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 21 tenths. So could I write this number as 1 and 21 tenths? Is that going to work out? No, not quite. Even though I'm in decimals here, I can still group them together, just like we did in all the other place values when we were learning about addition and subtraction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a group or a bundle of 10, and I'm going to move that over to the ones, because 10 tenths is the same as 1, 1. Okay? So let's see. Here I have 8, 9, 10. So let's just draw this group here. This is a group of 10. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I'm going to move these guys over here and make it one more 1, right? And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 tenths left over. Again, I can't write 11 tenths, so I'm going to have to make another group or another bundle of 10 tens. So let's see if I come in here and I grab these guys. There's another 10. So I'm going to move them up there, bundle them together as another 10. So I would have 3 ones and 1 tenth left over. So to show that in another way, I'm going to write this problem vertically. Okay, so we started out with 1 and 8/10, and then we added 13/10 to it. And then to write my 13/10, I can't just like squeeze in a little 13 right here, right? That's not going to work. So what I'm going to do instead, I'm going to write as 1/1 with 3/10 left over. Because if we think about those 13/10, let me just write them out here. 1, 2, 3. There's my 13/10. These 10/10 would be the same as this 1 whole right here, okay? So I can write them as 1 whole and 3/10, okay? And it'll make it easier to add that way when I'm adding vertically. Here we were able to regroup and bundle differently, but down here this is the way I want to think about it because it helps me to be able to add them vertically, okay? So I'll go ahead and put the equals. I'm going to add these up. So 8 plus 3 would be 8, 9, 10, 11. So that would be my tenths I would keep here, and then I would bundle those other 10/10s as 1/1. Sorry, those other 10/10 as 1/1, and then I would add up my ones. 1, 2, 3. So my answer would be 3 1/10, which is what we had here. 1, 2, 3, and one little only 10th left over right there. All right. So that's how to represent it on the place value chart and how to represent it vertically. Getting there. This is a little trickier, I guess, now that we're thinking about bundling and regrouping. But I think you guys are going to handling this pretty well. So let's move on. Let's try another example. So this time I have 1/10 and 8/100ths plus 2 1s and 4/100ths. So what I want you guys to do is first represent that in your place value chart, and we'll talk a little bit about what that looks like, and then we're going to work on adding it vertically, okay? So write those values in your place value chart, and then come back and let's check on them together. All right, so I represented these numbers in my place value chart, and I'm going to start from right to left and add these numbers together. So I'm going to have 8, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12/100ths, but I can't just write 12/100ths, right? That's going to look silly. So what I have to do is I got to bundle these guys together. I have more than 10, so I need to bundle them together. So I'm going to bundle these 8 and 2 more, which would give me 10/100ths, which is the same as 1/10, okay? So now I have 2/100ths left over, right? These two guys right here. 2/100ths. I have 1/10. I have 2 1s. And I have 1/10. So my answer is 12 and 12/100ths, okay? Easy enough using the place value chart. Let's stack these up vertically and try that as well. What I want you guys to do is try your hand at it. Try writing this problem vertically, and then we'll come back together and we'll look at it and compare what we have. All right, so I wrote my two numbers, 1/10, so I had 10 and 8/100ths, 10 and 8/100ths, okay? I had to add in that 0, even though I don't have any tenths. I got to use it kind of like as a placeholder so I can get to those hundredths to be able to write in those 8/100ths. And then I did 2 and 4/100ths, so 2 and 4/100ths, same thing with adding in that 0. Also, I lined up my ones and my tenths and my hundredths and the decimal. Of course, you want to line up the decimal, that's important, but you want to make sure that all your place values are lined up so you can add them correctly, okay? Then I could start over here on the right and I could do 8 plus 4, which would give me 12. All right, so I'm going to keep the 2/100ths here, but I'm going to bundle the other 10/100ths into 1/10, okay, or 1/10, I'm sorry. So now I can add up 0 plus 1 will give me 1. Bring down my decimal point, and then 0 plus 2 would be 2, and 1 plus 0 would be 1. So 12 and 12/100ths, same answer, okay? Same answer both ways. So it's awesome. So I think this is starting to click, starting to set in a little bit. That's great. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add up a bunch of decimals to figure out the price of my Marshall Frosto Choco cereal and see how much it's going to cost us to actually make it and eat it because I am starving. So let's take a look at those prices and see what we got. Oh man, you're still here? I totally forgot I was going to come back and solve a problem and got distracted, and I'm back with my midnight stack of my Marshall Choco Frosto cereal, and I totally forgot I left you guys hanging here. This is it's embarrassing. So while I'm here and you're still here, I guess we can go ahead and figure out how much this is actually costing me as I finish up my midnight snack here. So let's work together and see if we can figure this out. So as we saw from my trip from Publix, right, the Frosted Flakes, they were going to cost me $3.87. And chocolate syrup was another $2.22. And then the Lucky Charms, that was another $3.87. So if I stack those up vertically, my problem here, and I make sure that all my place values are lined up appropriately, same with my decimal points, and then I can just add up right down those columns. So why don't you guys give that a try, take another couple bites, and then we'll come back and see if we check out the same way. Good stuff. Alright, so if I start up adding this, I'm going to start in my hundredths, and I'm going to add right down that column, okay? So I'm going to do 7 and 7 first, because that's easy for me. That's 14, plus 2 more will give me 16. So it'll be 16 hundredths, but I'm going to write the 6 down here, and I'm going to put the other 10 over there as a tenth, okay? And now I can add up my tenths. So it's going to be 8 and 8. Well, that would give me 16, plus 2 more will give me 18, plus the 1 more that I had to carry over. That's going to give me 19, right? 19 is good. Now I can move over to my ones. So if I'm adding up my ones, I have 3 plus 2 plus 3, which is going to be a total of 8, plus 1 more is going to give me 9. I'm good to go. So all in all, this bowl of Choco Frosto Marshall cereal is going to cost me $9.96. And let me tell you, it's worth every penny. So thank you guys for joining me. I'm going to go ahead and enjoy the rest of my midnight snack. You guys should probably get to sleep, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.